everyone, and welcome back to the Families Fly Free podcast. I'm your host, Lynn Mentler. So, today we're going to talk about a problem that I've seen over the last several years crop up both for myself and with many different members of my family's Fly Free membership. So, we're going to be talking about booking hotels through travel portals. Now, when I say travel portal, I'm referring to particularly the Chase travel portal. I work in there a lot. The Capital One travel portal, Amex, Citi, other systems also have similar portals to this. And basically, you're logging into these portals and you're booking travel directly through them. So it could be a flight, it could be a car rental, it could be a hotel. And this is really the same as if you're booking something through, say, Expedia or booking.com or hotels.com, any of those types of sites. These are third-party sites, and that just means you're going through an intermediary to book your accommodation. You're not booking directly with the hotel or the property, which of course they would prefer. But what we're trying to do here is to book in points as much as possible and to pay as few points as possible for the booking. That's the game, right? We're trying to stretch our points as far as they will go. And oftentimes, though not always, booking through some of these travel portals will cost you fewer points than transferring your points to the hotel directly and booking with them. So this is almost always the case for Marriott, Hilton, and IHG, which is Intercontinental Hotels Group that owns Holiday Inn and Intercontinental, of course. A couple of my favorites are Hotel Indigo, Kimpton, um, Crown Plaza, all of those. So usually, particularly when it comes to Chase or Capital One, it's going to be cheaper to book them in the travel portal. It's going to cost you fewer points to do that than it would be to, let's say, Chase, for example. They partner with Marriott and IHG. You can transfer your points over to them and book directly. It's almost always going to cost you fewer points to book in the Chase travel portal than it would be to transfer your points over and book direct. But you want to always check those two things. That's something a lot of people don't know. So that's an insider tip for you. Don't just assume that the way you book a hotel free is by transferring the points over and booking directly. You want to check the 2 points prices and compare and pick the one that's less. But there are some hazards of booking in these travel portals, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I want to make sure you are fully informed of the potential drawbacks and you know what to do to help mitigate any downsides of doing that. So here are a couple of the things that we see when booking in these travel portals. Because you're booking through an intermediary, what happens is sometimes I've had multiple members show up and their room is not there. The hotel just says, sorry, we don't have a room booked for you. And they're just out of luck. We've also had members where they've let them know like the day before. That's way too late to try to figure out a new plan, right? Or maybe the week before. So we don't want that to happen. And the good news is that this seems to be improving. I'm seeing really good stories of this in the last year, but it's still possible. So be aware. Another problem can be is because you didn't book directly with the hotel, they're less likely to help you if there's a problem. So for example, we were standing in line at an airport hotel at LAX one time, and the people in front of us, they'd booked through TripAdvisor, and they had accidentally booked like the next day instead of the day we were standing there. They just messed it up on their end. And so they were like, sorry, can't help you. Got to call TripAdvisor, right? Whereas if you booked directly with them, as long as they'd had a room, they would have sorted it out for you. I've also had a situation where I booked through southwesthotels.com. That would be another example of one of these portals because you can earn, if you know how to find good deals on there, you can earn up to 10,000 points per night, Southwest points, by booking through southwesthotels.com. And so we had booked a property in in Miami, and at the end of our stay, we had just really loud noise like all night long above us the whole time. And so at the end, I just asked if they would credit us back something for that because it was really unpleasant. We'd had maintenance come up, check it. It sounded like really loud pipes, and it just never got any better. And they weren't willing to help us. And so I had to go back through southwesthotels.com, and I was able to get something through them. And I know I've heard of other members who've had problems, and that's basically what they're told is too bad, you're going to have to call who you booked through. So that's a downside also. I've also had a member who they had her hotel room, but when she showed up, she booked a room with breakfast and they didn't want to give her the breakfast. So that could be another thing to look out for. So again, the good news is that of late, I've had stories from both Capital One and Chase where members have had really good experiences when this happened to them. And let's talk a little bit more about why this happens that you show up and they don't have your room. So, what I think is going on here is if the hotel can sell that room directly for more than what they're paying the third party to book it, they do. So I really don't think it's the third party problem. I don't think it's the Chase Travel Portal's fault. I think it's probably the hotel's fault because they're just saying, oh, we can get more for this room night by selling it directly. We're just pulling yours and we're going to sell it to somebody else. And so that's unfortunately what happens. So, but we have heard stories where both Chase and Capital One have proactively reached out to the person and said, we're so sorry. And it was enough, plenty of time. But we're, your room, we don't have your room anymore. I don't know what they said exactly, but we want to help you find something, that works for you. And they've been extremely helpful and very nice on the phone, in working with folks. And I think this has even happened with flights too. Not that a flight is gone, but really being helpful with helping them change things. And a side note, if you're booking flights in these portals, you want to be very clear, what the cancellation and change policy is before you book that flight. Make sure you understand it because it's different than booking directly. So we are hearing better stories. So it's a little bit less scary, I think, these days, but nevertheless, it can happen. So what can you do to help mitigate this? So what I always recommend to my Families Fly Free members are that you I would say call at least a month ahead, call the hotel directly, look up what the phone number is for them directly, speak to the front desk, confirm that they have your room, write down who you talked to and the date. Then I would call the week ahead and maybe even the day before. This is kind of a pain, but if you're saving a significant number of points, it's probably worth it to do this. If you're someone who just doesn't want to deal with it, book direct, right? Pay more points and know that they're going to work directly with you. And I'm going to make a suggestion of a hotel that kind of solves a hotel chain that solves all of this here in a minute. So you want to call, confirm. And you also want to print out your confirmation. So my member who showed up in Hawaii and had booked through, I think it was Southwest Hotels, I can't remember, and had booked the room that had breakfast too, and they didn't want to give it to her. She had it all printed out and she showed it to them and then they honored it. So that can help too. Document, confirm. All right. And we also have some really good tricks and some swipe files and some things you can use inside of Families Fly Free to help you get even better service and better rooms and upgrades when you show up to the hotel. If you want to learn more about Families Fly Free, you can do that at familiesflyfree.com/join. It is hands down the best place to learn a simple way to fly for free, learn how to stay for free, and get the support and the real-time information and the community that you need to continue to be successful year after year, particularly as we see so much upheaval and change in the travel industry and the rewards industry overall. So now, when it comes to the best hotel chain to book, I'm a big fan of Hyatt. That's my preferred because Hyatt, as we talked about before, Marriott, IHG, we can't transfer to Hilton from Chase, but if you can transfer them from some other system that you use, those are almost always going to be cheaper in the portal when it comes to the number of points you pay than transferring and booking direct. Hyatt is the rare exception. It's almost always, not 100%, double check, almost always the case that it's fewer points to transfer Chase points. They're also a transfer partner to Chase over to Hyatt and book direct. So now we've paid fewer points and we've booked direct. So we've solved this whole third party problem. And so that's a great win-win solution to both. Now, the problem with Hyatt is they don't have as many properties. They don't have as large of a footprint as, say, a Marriott or a Hilton. But they do have some great properties. They're not so much in Europe. There are some, but you'll do better with Marriott and Hilton generally in Europe. Also, generally in Hawaii, there's not a lot of Hyatts either. But we have stayed at some really great Hyatt properties over the years for half the points of what we would have paid to book the neighboring Marriott or IHG or Hilton property, including the Hyatt Regency in Maui. I send a lot of members there. I loved it. They love it. They have a luau. They have penguins in the lobby. Great location on the beach. We swam, snorkeled with sea turtles just right off the beach there. The Andes Peninsula Papagayo in Costa Rica. That's one of my favorite hotels I've ever stayed in. And we booked them for only 29,000 points per night. And this is a stunner of a property right on the ocean. I want to tell you, it's a little bit more points than that now. They've raised the points price. But wow, what a deal. And then I'm about to stay at the Hyatt Regency Sonoma Wine Country because I'm going to be meeting up with some of our Families Fly Free Elite members. And that's a higher level of membership once you've been a member for at least a year that you can upgrade to. And we meet as a small group every single month. We go through and talk about the latest travel news. People share with each other their questions and their tips and their recent travels that they've been on and what they've learned. And we have this meetup, we have group texting. It's a really fun upgrade to Families Fly Free. And so we're going to be meeting up out there. I'm really excited to do that. And it turns out that Southwest just happens to have announced that they're now going to be adding the Santa Rosa Airport, which is how you access wine country in California as a destination beginning in spring of 2026. So too bad we couldn't use it to fly out there this go around, but I think that's going to be a really fun destination that I'm excited that they have added. So, and I also have Inside Families Fly Free, a whole stay free formula course where we go through the best ways to use Hyatt points, how to pay the fewest points possible, the best and simplest ways to collect points to use Hyatts, how to book Hyatt all-inclusives. We have members who have worked toward elite status on Hyatt, like Globalist, and you get some really great perks with that. You can learn how to get suite upgrades and club access and some really fun different things like that. And so that's all in there. And then you can ask us and you can ask other members who are doing it, all your questions all along the way. And we keep you updated on everything, the promotions that Hyatt has going on, all these types of real-time information so that you can continue to maximize the points you're earning and minimize the points that you're paying for everything. And again, I think that's critical today with how much everything is changing, so you can stay on top of the real-time sales and discounts and offers and details. So I just want you to be aware that there are some drawbacks to booking hotels through these travel portals. Definitely do it though if it's going to save you points. Just take some of these steps to help mitigate the chances that you're going to have issues with it. When it comes to, having problems on site, just know that you're going to have to reach out to the travel portal for help. And so it may be a good idea for you to have that phone number handy for you in case you have any issues. And you should be able to go online and chat with them as well if you need. So do your due diligence. Make sure you're finding the cheapest points to book your accommodations. And here's hoping that this does not happen to you and that you avoid any hassle. So thanks for listening in this week. I'll report back after my trip to California wine country, and I hope to see you on the next episode.